I'm Maggie. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist with degrees in psychology, theology, and marriage and family therapy, a national certification in dialectical behavioral therapy, and a national certification in integrative mental health. In this video, I'm not looking to diagnose anyone. I'm only willing to offer insight into situations like these. Maggie Thompson is presenting the work titled The Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch, written by J.J. Hurtak. Maggie Thompson is not validating nor supporting Hurtak's views, epiphanies, visions, beliefs, or words. Maggie Thompson is simply presenting the work as written and is attempting to translate this extraordinarily esoteric work to a common vernacular and understanding. Further, Maggie Thompson understands this work to be solely concerning the Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and while Hurtak views his work to be the key or keys to uniting all the world's people under one religion, namely Abrahamic, Maggie Thompson does not support this premise whole cloth. However, this work does give depth and insight into the connection of physics, cosmology, biology, and spirituality, which, for the seeker of divine truth, can be invaluable for the discovery of one's place in the universe, and that may be under the hierarchy of Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, or a hierarchy that exists above or beside such deities, or none altogether. Maggie Thompson implores all seekers of knowledge to, letter A, not accept what a person of authority tells you without validation. This includes looking at critiques and the opposing views with an open mind. Letter B, accept that religion, as well as science and politics, is presented as a means of indoctrination and is always presented with the biases of the overall field or system, the authors of texts, and the presenter, whose goals are to convince you of the, quote, truth, end quote, of their premise or premises. Letter C. It is possible to take insight, truths, and information from a biased work. Any body of work for the purpose of deeper meaning and knowledge must be carefully excavated and carved to glean wisdom. And letter D. No work or bodies of work that is believed by a large group or populace of people should be dismissed out of hand simply because you do not believe it. We live in a diverse time where religious belief takes center stage in the governing of the collected masses. To truly understand the barriers and gateways to your personal success and fulfillment, you must accept that believers of any kind can and will do what is necessary to meet their goals.
All right, now that we got all that out of the way, thank goodness. All right, so today we're going to do the Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch, key 2-1-1. It is on pages 269 to 276, and it is about the sacred name Metatron. So it says, the keys to future, quote, weights and measures, end quote, are given in the light vibrations of, quote, the sacred names, end quote, which are the weights and measures of our molecular universe, tracing energy into other universes. The function of the, quote, meta, end quote, the wavelength prefix for knowledge of the next universe, will be extended through wavelengths in the sacred name, quote, Metatron, end quote. All right, so before we get into it, let's say hello to some folks. Adric is here first. He says it's on. Auntie is here. Hi, Auntie, my favorite Auntie. Adric says hashtag Pivot Point Wednesday. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Spain man. Eddie is here. Adrian says, let's go. And what up to the live tribe? Leon is here. What's up? Good to see you all. And for those of you watching from the clouds, this is the best live tribe on YouTube, bar none. Feel free to say hello if you would like, and shout out to the replay gang. All right, so we're going to use multiple concepts, including Disney's TVA from the Loki series, to make J.J. Hurtak's excessively esoteric work into something not soteric. I will be critiquing his premises as well as offering some guidance, because it's become clear that this work is the pinnacle of the crossroad of Christian dispensationalism and Jewish mysticism. And the times we live in now, we need to know what they're doing. JB Designs is here. Hello to you as well. All right. So this key focuses on Metatronic energy. So the full reading is available on this channel if you want to go do that. So let's read some highlights, okay? So 1 through 3, we're going to start with, okay? If we could align the energy focus of our field of intelligence with the next universe of the higher intelligence, the direct communication or new vibratory wavelength would work with what the higher intelligence calls, quote, Metatronic energy, end quote. Modern man has received the word meta from the ancient Greek texts. The Greeks tell us they received it from the gods. No one knows for sure in what manner the word came to us. Yet, for the most part, the people on this life station do not know that the word meta means, quote, the half-life function, end quote, of the higher forces of energy. Meta-linguistics, meta-mathematics, meta-Gnosticism all seek out the wisdom of a greater evolving universe, and yet all of these meta-sciences are tautological and hence limited in nature. See, I was already annoyed when I read that. I grew up in metaphysics. So I'm going to tell you right now, it is very annoying to me when people try to change the definition or connotation of a word. It has a definition for a reason. And Hurtak is becoming notorious for just whole cloth changing what a word means. So let's discuss the etymology of the prefix meta. It is a Greek word. He got that much right, meaning after, beyond, with, or among. That's what it means. Okay. So it's the place it's referencing, because it's a place, right? After, beyond, with, or among. The place it's referencing comes from the context of what it is saying. Metamucil. I don't know what a mucil is, so we may be able to break that down. So in general, it means about this. So metaphysics is physics about physics, okay? Metadata is data about the data. Metacognition is thinking about thinking, or thinking after thinking. That's what meta means. It is not this half-life thing that he has just decided. It's simply a word that indicates order or placement, and it eventually started meaning transcendence or abstraction and higher order expression, simply because of one person, Aristotle. So we generally attribute Aristotle as the first metaphysician. This is physics. This is a person who does physics about physics. That is what a metaphysician is. But there's two things that we have to acknowledge. Aristotle is the first metaphysician. physician. He's the one who started using the word meta, okay? Didn't come from the gods, came from Aristotle. So the two things that we have to acknowledge, number one, Andronicus of Rhodes was compiling Aristotle's work after his death. Aristotle had a body of work called Physics. So he had this whole library, right? This Bible of work called Physics. All the works that he did after that body of work, after Physics, Andronicus called metaphysics. After physics. That's all that meant, right? The term metaphysics became aligned with the concepts of being, of causality, of the soul, of reality, of the cosmos, because Aristotle's works that he did after physics, that Andronicus called metaphysics, after physics, dealt with those things. Why? Because Plato, who studied for years in Kemet, 12 years to be exact, taught Aristotle those Chemetian concepts. The Greeks themselves, most notably Herodotus and Diodorus Siculus, noted the Egyptian origin of many Greek philosophical, religious, and mathematical ideas. So here we have Plato teaching Aristotle about these things. He'd already written all his books called Physics. And then when Andronicus is putting them together, he's like, oh, these are after physics. That's where the word came from. It's easy to find. But here we have Hertog saying, many people on this earth don't know what the word actually means. This prefix has been around for a very long time. We know what it means. You can't just change the definition of something. That's not how this works. Oh, goodness. Okay. JB Design says you should look into this thing called Trench Crusade. There's these characters called Meta-Christ that are clones of Jesus Christ. I think you'll find that idea pretty entertaining. I think I would. And in this case, these are Christs that are about Christ or come after Christ. That's what meta means. Okay. All right, so he's trying to change the definition of the word because of Metatron. So let's break down the word Metatron, the name of a Jewish angel. We know that meta means after or about, right? Tron comes from the word thronos, okay? Because we're talking Greek, right? Meta is Greek, so Metatron would be Greek. Thronos, the throne. So after the throne or about the throne. We use a Latinized version in words like electron and cyclotron. That's where we get the tron, okay? So meta thronos, so about or after the throne. So implying that Metatron is the being that comes after or about the throne of Yahweh. Makes sense? He's an angel, okay? Now, it's fitting because this is what the Jews believe, okay? It's a place. Metatron is around the throne. Not necessarily a name, okay? It is a creature in this case, possibly the Pokemon-like evolved form of Enoch. If you read the book of Enoch, he evolves into Metatron, and he's in this place that's around the throne, or as the Jewish mystics call Metatron, the lesser Yahweh, the one who came after Yahweh, the lesser Yahweh. It is the throne that comes after the throne of Yahweh. The fall of the original creature that held that spot was Lucifer. So Lucifer, who was right there with God, right? The lesser God, the favorite angel, the one who helped create, the one who did all the things, right? He got fired, right? So there was a job opening in Yahweh's court, and we've heard of this before, Yahweh's council, Yahweh's court. It is in the Bible. So there's a job opening in Yahweh's court. So Enoch was promoted into the job description of the title. Metatron. It's a job title. A job title. Megatron is Optimus' enemy. That was easy. Next. I learned that in the 80s. I'm saying Metatron, not Megatron. So let's talk about Yahweh's court, because it's not talked about in Sunday school. It's not talked about in church, even though it's in the Christian Bible. And it's in the Old Testament, meaning it's in the Torah. Okay, so let's talk about Yahweh's court. It may kind of destroy your ideas about God and Satan a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. These may be things that you already know. Again, this is coming from the Bible. This is not Maggie's words. Okay. The Satan, or the Satan, as it would have been pronounced, the Satan is a job description and title. It is a title, not a specific person. The Satan. Job 1-2. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh, and the Satan also came among them. 1 Kings 22:19. I saw Yahweh sitting on his throne, and all of the host of heaven standing by him on his right and his left. The host, the council, they're all there. Psalm 82:1. God stands in the divine council. In the midst of the gods, he passes judgment. Okay? He has a council and he has job openings. And maybe you have heard before that the Satan is like the prosecutor of the court. And I kind of believe it. Daniel 7. Thrones are set, the Ancient of Days sits, and court is in session. So Yahweh sits as a judge, an authority, and he is surrounded by celestial agents who are tasked with delivering messages, executing his judgments, testing human fidelity, recording deeds, monitoring nations. This is all throughout the Old Testament, where Yahweh is giving orders and these celestial beings follow through because he has a court. These are job openings. So who is what we used to call it, Ha-Satan, okay? The Satan. Who is the Ha-Satan in this court? Literally, Ha-Satan means the accuser, the adversary. It also means the prosecutor of the court. That is what Ha-Satan means, the prosecutor of the court. So when we talk about the Satan and we talk about the divine council and the court of Yahweh, the Satan is the prosecutor. Remember, in court, the judge and the prosecutor are employed and receive paychecks from the same place. The Satan is the district attorney. Okay? He walks in the Bible to and fro on the earth, monitoring human behavior. But he asked permission to test Job's integrity. He does not ever in all these ancient writings, he never acts independently. He has to get Yahweh's permission. He goes to and fro on the earth, checking the humans, making sure they're behaving appropriately, right? But when he finds somebody that he wants to mess with, he has to have Yahweh's permission. He has to get the judge's order. Job 1:12. Behold all that he has in your power, only do not lay a hand on his person, Yahweh says. Okay? In Zechariah 3, the Satan stands at the right hand of Joshua, the high priest, to accuse him, but Yahweh rebukes the Satan. That is a legal scene. Think about that. It's a courtroom. Okay? Leon says, Lord, I cannot stand. Adrian says, sounds like a snitch. He is a snitch. Hi, y'all, Borgen. He's the quality control inspector. Yeah, he's the ops. He's the cops. He's the prosecutor. That's who the Satan is, okay? The Satan points out weaknesses, inconsistencies, or pride in creation. And he always needs authority to act. He can never act on his own. In any of the scriptures, he never acts on his own. And it's not Lucifer. People put those two together. It's not Lucifer who is doing those things to Job. Lucifer was cast out. It's the Satan, okay? He has never been an independent antagonist or the king of hell. He sits in court with Yahweh. And Lucifer was fired from the job due to accusing the high judge himself, Yahweh, of impropriety, okay? Meaning Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifer might have been the Satan at one point, but Yahweh still has a Satan that he sends to accuse and tempt humanity. He kicked Lucifer out, okay? Haven't you ever wondered why Lucifer would torture humans who also accuse God or who don't bend to Yahweh's rules? Why would Lucifer punish humans who do exactly what Lucifer did? Why would that doesn't make logical sense? He wouldn't. Punishment, eternal or not, is prescribed, always meted out by Yahweh. In all of the ancient texts, the mass murders, the fires, the genocides, the wars, everything is a judgment and a decree by Yahweh himself. It is monitored by Yahweh because he is the high judge in this court system. Andy says, sounds like such a fun religion. Adrian says the whole thing gives Gnostics some credits. It does, because it sounds like Yaldabaoth. 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 I never say it right unless I'm reading it. So, again, we have to put these things in place, right? Because it's always the rewriting and the changing of the story. Always. When it doesn't make logical sense. Yahweh is the judge. He metes out the punishment. The Satan is the accuser. He is the prosecutor. He's the cops. He's the ops. And he works for the same court. He can't do anything without Yahweh's permission. So if he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing and you hate it, guess who you get to blame? And it's in their book. Hey, it's in their book. Don't blame me. It's in their book. All right. Verse 4. We're only on 4. Whew. Meta is the half-life function of Metatron. Here we are with the half-life stuff. Who is one of the creator presences of Yahweh, who works with the scientific programming going on in our universe. Metatron is the creator of the outer light programs of the external universes, which were created from formlessness and void. The power of Metatron sets the weights and measures for creation, which allows for the dawning of the living light of Yahweh in the regions of darkness so they can eventuate into spiritual domains. So Hertalk sets Metatron as a creator, as the lesser Yahweh, right? But weren't we always taught Yahweh's the only creator? So Metatron is a creator, but also the weights and measures is what he's saying. This is a skewing, really, of what the Metatron is. He is the law writer. That's the job of the Metatron. In fact, in the book of Enoch, Enoch is the scribe. Metatron is the scribe of God. So this is the note taker. That's what Metatron is. He's the law writer. And the Satan prosecutes and Yahweh judges. Metatron is the scribe of heaven in all the ancient documents. Okay. He's the scribe. He writes it down. He takes the notes. He writes down the laws. Okay. What do they call that? What is the what is that in a courtroom where the person is sitting there typing? What is, I forget what it's called. I forget what that's called, but that's what Metatron is. Robots in disguise. So we're talking about the jobs in the court of heaven. Okay. So you might assume that Jesus or the Christos, that is the job, the Christos is the defense attorney. You might think that, right? Because this, he came to save humanity and all this kind of stuff. So you might assume that Jesus, the Christos, is the defense attorney in the divine court. He is not. So let's talk about what the Christos is. But first, let's talk about the defense attorney. Stenographer. Thank you, Auntie and Adrian. I can't remember what it was, but that's Metatron. He's the stenographer. Okay. He's not the creator and the weights and measures and all that. Again, they're ancient documents. Don't come at me. It's y'all's book. Okay. So who is the defense attorney? If it's not Jesus the Christos, it's the Great Mother. So across cultures and spiritual systems, the mother isn't just a nurturer. In all of these ancient writings, she is a protector, an advocate, and the embodiment of grace. We're talking about the Great Mother, not women in general, okay? So the Great Mother is the intercessor between judgment and mercy. That's always where she's placed in these stories. She is the witness to the suffering of humanity. She is the compassionate balance to the patriarchal law. In Kabbalistic Judaism, Shekinah, which he's talked about before, Hertak has, is the feminine indwelling presence of God or Yahweh, the mother, who never ever leaves her children, even when they are in exile. The Zohar describes her pleading with the heavenly court on Israel's behalf. That is a defense attorney right there. In the Zohar, pleading with the heavenly court on Israel's behalf. She descends into suffering to be able to advocate, to cover and protect, and to redeem the people. Wisdom, or the Holy Spirit, right, is the Great Mother. The Asherah, the Sophia, the Shekinah, Hakma, Ma'at, Isis, Devi, and other names for the exact same role across cultures. They all act the same and they do the same. They are the advocates. Okay. Proverbs 8. Wisdom speaks and is portrayed as feminine. Quote, I was with him in the beginning. I was his delight, rejoicing always before him. End quote. Talking about being with Yahweh in the beginning. That is the Great Mother. Hi, Cosmic Surfer TV. In Gnosticism, Sophia messes up, but she continuously intercedes on humanity's behalf, trying to advocate for them, to help them, and defend them in the court. She warns and offers knowledge for salvation. In Kemet, hearts are judged against whose feather? Ma'at's feather. She is the principle that justifies the righteous. Even in Christianity, Mary, right? Because that's the mother, right? Mary, the mother of Jesus, is given the qualities of the Great Mother. She is called the mediator of all the graces. She intercedes before the throne of God. On whose behalf? Humans' behalf. So we see the defense attorney best in Revelations 12. The woman clothed with the sun gives birth under attack by the dragon. The woman is the defense attorney. She is pregnant with the Logos, the truth. The dragon is the Satan, the prosecutor. He stands at the foot of the woman to devour her child at the moment of birth. Revelation says the child, the truth, the Logos is saved. And in the end, the dragon, the accuser, the prosecutor is again thrown out of court. Second time, we lose a prosecutor. Okay. Is this the second time? Or maybe that's the story of Lucifer? Who knows? But did Lucifer get brought back in? Maybe. Maybe that was his severance package. The point, I mean, there is a point I want everybody to take from this, not just in case you haven't heard of the divine court yet, but when you don't understand the prosecutor, think about a court system, okay? When I do competency to stand trial evaluations, this is an important thing we have to make sure people know. When you don't understand the prosecutor and the prosecution, and that he and the judge are in the same court, and you think you have to defend yourself, pro se is what we call it in court, or more importantly, that you are broken, false, and wrong and indefensible. Where does that put us? If our defense attorneys are removed from the story and we don't even know where our defense attorney is, where's she at? I don't know, never heard of her. Who is it, right? And then we are in the court and we are told how broken and miserable and false and wrong and sinful and just indefensible we are, and we're left to defend ourselves in this situation. We're going to lose. You're at the mercy of the court, or the ones pretending to be the court anyway. Without your defense attorney, divine judgment becomes unchecked. It's constant divine judgment because there is no defense attorney. So who can stop us except God, right? Without her, law has no heart. And without her, your defense attorney, you are alone before the throne. They, the they that are the they, can control who is guilty and who is innocent. And don't they change the rules all the time? And they remove all the access to mercy. They gatekeep it. You have to go through all these other people and hurdles and whatnot to get to the mercy. By removing the great mother, the defense attorney, you are on trial every day. Daily, every day. You are guilty by default. You're born a sinner, you're guilty by default. You are always begging for forgiveness, and you're willing to pay for it. Do you see it in the realm of a court system? Right at Barnaby next to you. So that's the defense attorney, is the great mother. The great mother has always interceded and advocated on behalf of humanity. So what is the job of the Christos? Jesus, the Christ, okay, is another role. Christos means activated light or divine messenger. The Christos is the mediator. Yeshua, Bodhisattva, Krishna, Hermes, Thoth, these are all the same thing. This is the activated light and divine messenger. These mediators carry divine decrees, warnings before judgment, comfort after exile, and truth during deception. They work for the defender's office. They work for the divine mother, right? They come out of the defender's office. They are the public defender's office. They are the mediators, right? Gabriel appears to Daniel, Mary, and Muhammad to bring light, understanding, and prophecy as a messenger from the defense office. Raphael appears in the book of Tobit to guide, protect, and heal. Michael leads a heavenly army against the dragon. Who was the dragon? The prosecutor. Okay. This divine messenger spirit appears to Hagar, Moses. I mean, it happens all the time. And that messenger can come to you too. So when Hurtak bastardizes the office of the Christ in this hierarchical schema of his that he's got going on, it takes away your only connection to the public defender's office, which plays into the dispensationalists' hands. I was going to say something else, but they get very excited about this, right? This is the ops, okay? So because the Satan upholds the letter of Yahweh's law, the Christos reminds you of the spirit of the law. He is the mediator. The Christos is the divine messenger and the mediator. Okay, let's keep going. I had a lot to say this time. All right, so look at this fun picture. That's all the sacred names all the way around a person. Okay, number 12. This book contains the keys to the opening of Metatronic functions of creation, preparing mankind for the return of the masters to this plane, which is the completion of the half-life function of what has already been prophesied. So ask yourself, if the prosecutor's office could be solely in charge of organizing civilization, think about that for a second. We're setting up government. We're figuring out rules and laws, and we put the prosecutor's office solely in charge of organizing this. Okay, because we've removed the defense attorney, we've demoted everybody, all the Christos, right? They're all demoted and they all mean something else, right? So if the prosecutor's office could be solely in charge of organizing civilization, as Hertalk is attempting, this is what he's doing, right? What would that look like? I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What would it look like if the prosecutor's office, unchecked, they just get to be in charge of organizing civilization? What would civilization look like? I'll give you one, by the way. Number one, everyone is a potential criminal. Because that's the purview of the prosecutor's office, right? Everybody is guilty. We're trying to prove everybody guilty. And if you didn't do it wrong this time, you probably did it wrong another time. So it's fine to put you in jail, right? So everyone is a potential criminal, right? You're all born sinners. Because everybody's a potential criminal, right? Another one would be constant surveillance, because the prosecutor's office is constantly trying to get evidence, right? So we would, and since we're all potential criminals, we would constantly be under surveillance. So they would always have evidence to be able to convict us at any point in time they wanted to. And what do we have today? Constant surveillance. And they're working on even more. Leon, he jumped right to the point. It would look like America. It would look like black men in America in the 90s. Well, I'm going to say some more and you will see how true that is. Police would have full authority as a judge and jury in vivo. But the prosecutor set it up. If the police department already takes care of being judge and jury in the moment, then that saves the prosecutor's office trouble. And since everybody is a suspected criminal, it's okay. So the police have full authority. Everything would be a law and order focus. Everything. And where are we at today? Everything is law and order, because the prosecutor's office holds everybody to the letter of the law. The defender, the defense attorney, holds us to the spirit of the law. Okay. We would have obedience over creativity. Already got that. Ethics become irrelevant. And don't they? It's the law. The law is the important thing, even if the laws are unethical. Adrian says, constant apologies, constant praise of the deity. Absolutely. Because you're constantly having to beg for forgiveness, right? Maybe behavioral scoring, again, so that the prosecutor's office knows when to go ahead and enact this prosecution. So we might have behavioral scoring. And we would definitely at some point move into self-surveillance and judgment. We would start judging ourselves and judging our neighbors and surveilling ourselves and our neighbors, right? Kind of sounds like Nazi Germany a little bit. But this is where we are today. The system that we're in was set up by the prosecutor's office. Why? Because we relegated the Christos to something it was not, and we totally remove the defense attorney. So you're in it alone. Okay. It's really not different than what we have now. It's not really different from what Black people have experienced the whole time. Okay. 16 to 18. These keys to new heavens are brought forth in a special archangelic alphabet of Metatron, known historically in Kabbalah as Ketab Enayim. Okay, Ketab Enayim. I writings, like EYE. These writings are composed of small circles and lines shaped like flames. Sounds like Arabic. They are a greater language of creation through which the elements of life are projected. This archangelic alphabet coordinates the elements of life with God's name. Each of these divine letters generates resonance patterns of light, which can be traced and measured from one universe of consciousness to the next through the mathematical harmony of the letters. Okay. These letters compose the sacred names. The sacred names include those of the angels who hold together the structures of creation. In the regenesis of life, these sacred names are the weights and measures that are used by the family of God on earth. So we just talked about how the archangels are divine messengers and they work with the defense attorney's office. Now he's saying these archangels are the weights and measures by which people will be judged. Now, look at this is the list of names here. All these sacred names. Wild and crazy. Leon says, we have behavioral forming, aka double dare anyone to go to Russia or China or the Middle East or talk about the small hats too much. So here, Hertok sets up the divine court under three males, Jesus, Metatron, and Menmatra, who is Egyptian. We get the messengers without the defender. So they don't work for the defense. In Hertok's view, they don't work for the defender's office anymore. They're at the prosecutor's office. They're at the district attorney's office. That's where they work now. So we get the prosecutor and we get his entire office and we get all the messengers without any of the defense attorneys. He tells you exactly that this is the weights and measures by which you will be judged, which is what we just talked about. The prosecutor's office sets up everything. You're going to be judged. They probably do serve the summons. Yeah, you've been called. You've been called. You've been chosen. You know, the messages. Perfect. The archangels remind me of Ares and the four demons in the underworld that judge people. Oh, yeah. Similar. You just made me think of the, oh gosh, Auntie, what was the three, they're witch-like ladies who all share one eyeball who are around the cauldron. That's what it made me think of. That's what that made me think of. Okay, so let's go to 27. Therefore, the tree of life is seeded into gardens. Do you guys remember who the tree of life was, by the way? Ashra, the great mother. Okay. Therefore, the tree of life is seeded into gardens through replication and is activated through the angelic command of Metatron into the flesh of man, which is multiplied and projected into new heavens. So the tree of life, the Ashra, the great mother, is replicated, cloned. We're going to clone her, right? We're going to fake her and then put her into the prosecutor's office. We're going to put her into Metatron and all these different dudes, right? Sounds a little wild. Hecate. That was the Egyptian, right? This is Greek. It's Greek. It's the three witches that all share one all-seeing eye. Dang it. It's escaping me. That meth is escaping me. Leon, did you send it in Patreon? Fate. I think it is the Fates. Thank you, y'all, Borgen. It's the Fates. Appreciate that. Okay, let's keep going. 36. Understand the words, his throne is a fiery flame, for now is the hour for the watchers of Zion to lift their eyes to the light of the eternal day and the pillars of light. For these shall open the heavens as a stairway formed by the rays, spreading out from the descending triangular pyramid, and bring life-giving light and power from the new heavens to the new earth. Okay, so that's the Zionists, right? And the dispensationalist New World Order, which they're not quiet about. They tell you all the time. One world government and New World Order. They use the words. They're not trying to hide it. That's them. Y'all helping where I can. Okay, Leon, I will find it. Oh, Adrian says that may be the Greek word for them, but I think they're called the Fates. I don't know. Now I'm going to have to look it up. That's probably the Greek word for them. So key 2-1-1 is the theocratic takeover. That's all he's talking about. Hertog's divine government mirrors Project 2025's authoritarian eschatology. They're mirrored. This is the same dispensationalist caca. I'm not going to cuss. So, like dispensationalists who believe a righteous remnant must rule before Christ returns, Key 2-1-1 calls for spiritual elites, like the TVA, to govern Earth. Project 2025 demands a biblical worldview in government. New World Order, okay? It's gaslighting, though. Sorry, it's not tyranny. It's divine order. We're saving the earth. We're restoring godly governance. It's not genocide. It's God's will. All of that is gaslighting. It's all gaslighting, okay? The end times is their pretext for world control. If you guys didn't watch the show that I did last Sunday about Bill Cooper, he said it best that the they that are the elites, they're using revelations and the end time prophecies as a playbook to get us to world control, new world order. And where is the capital of the new world going to be? Oh, I'll let you guys guess in the comments. All right. Guess in the comments where the capital will be of the new world order. They already have it picked out. This is already a plan. Hertog says there will be chaos and calamity unless the great white brotherhood take control. Project 2025 says America will fall without biblical values. The TVA says the multiverse will collapse without us. It's all fear mongering. Hertog's Melchizedek order sounds more like the Heritage Foundation's training of conservative leaders. And QAnon's white hats narrative of the elites working for the good. The white hats, they're elites that work for the good. This whole divine right of rule is the oldest trick of tyrants and tyranny. Great job. Yep. Adrian says Jerusalem, it will be Israel. Israel will be the capital of, yes, the small city. It will be the capital of the global governance. Israel. Now, Rome will own part of Jerusalem. That deal is already being worked out. You can find lots of information about that. So they're going to have all three of the Abrahamic religions having their primary home place, primary workspace, motherland, whatever, out of Jerusalem. But Israel as a whole will be the capital of the New World Order. So this divine right of rule is the unchecked, unbalanced prosecutor's office running civilization. They have created and are adding to a legalistic, fear-based society obsessed with compliance over compassion. We are in and moving farther into a surveillance state with no true freedom and no grace whatsoever. This is a system that profits from guilt. It always has, and religion always will. It criminalizes humanity and erases the soul's defense in court. We sit accused and we are on trial every day forever in this system. But I hope you understand it's a lie, and it's always been a lie. Justice without compassion is not justice. It is ritualized punishment wearing a robe. I truly believe we have to restore the Great Mother. We need our defense attorney, okay? We've got the whole court here. We need our defense attorney for men, for women, for children, for humanity as a whole. We need our defense attorney back, right? I would like to speak to my attorney. Let's plead the fifth until we can speak to our attorney, right? We need the messengers to awaken the people. We've always needed the messengers to awaken the people, and that's what they do, and that's what they've always done. And we need our defense attorney, and we need the messengers to continue to awaken the people so that true liberation can rise again. All right, that is it for tonight. Went off on a little bit of a soapbox a couple times. Thank you for being patient with that. So this coming Sunday, we're going to be doing part 2. If you saw the show, Are All Jews Khazarian Now? We are doing part 2. We are calling it the United States of Khazaria, and we will be talking about Khazaria, Israel, and the United States, and we'll be continuing that discussion. This is going to be a 4-part series, so we've already planned what part 3 and part 4 are. I think part 4 might blow your mind, honestly, but we'll bring receipts, I promise. So the special guest this Sunday will again be Adrian Hicks. He's going to bring some wild stuff for us to look at. It'll be really super interesting. And we'll continue on next Wednesday with more Keys of Enoch. And when we reach the Keys of Enoch, we'll be going over the Bill Cooper book, Behold a Pale Horse. So I hope you guys have a good Wednesday. And if I don't see you on Sunday, I hope to see you next Wednesday. Now I'm going to show you a picture of my dog.
Please like the video if you haven't already. It really helps the algorithm to know what kind of things you like. Share where you think it's appropriate, especially to someone who you think needs to hear it. And don't forget to check out some of the wilder Pivot Point Wednesday shows. And last, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to break down complex concepts that make the esoteric not so teric, helping you on your journey to become your most authentic self. By subscribing, you'll join a community that thrives on curiosity and growth, and you'll never miss out on insights and some wild discussions. Let's uncover the universe together.